Hey, how's it guys? In this tutorial, you'll learn how to work with Python virtual environments in Visual Studio Code. So I'll cover the basics of what a Python virtual environment is, why it is useful, and how to create and use a Python virtual environment in Visual Studio Code. So as a reference, I'll be saying VS Code instead of Visual Studio Code going forward. Alright, so first, let's define what a Python virtual environment is. A Python virtual environment is an isolated environment that allows you to install Python packages and dependencies for a specific project. This means that you can have different projects with different packages installed independently without affecting other projects' dependencies. Other benefits such as virtual environments make it easier to share your code with others because you can create a requirement text file that lists all the dependencies for a project. Python virtual environments also keep your projects organized, and it takes less than 30 seconds to create a Python virtual environment. Now, to create a Python virtual environment, first you want to open your terminal. And I'll be using Bash as my default terminal. You can also use other terminals such as command line tool or PowerShell, and those will work too. So many people think you can only have one Python virtual environment created, and that is simply not true. You can create as many Python virtual environments as you want, as long as your PC has enough storage. So for example, I host all my Python virtual environments. You can think those as my Python projects. Now if you look at this folder right here, I named the directory Python venv, stands for Python virtual environment. Now if I simply select all my project folders, so in this directory, I basically have 28 projects created. Now going back to my terminal, and to create a Python virtual environment, I'm going to type Python -m. So -m stands for module. Basically, you want to specify the module that you want to use. And here I'm going to type venv, which is going to be the module name that we're going to use to create a Python virtual environment, followed by the project name or the environment name. And as for the environment name, I'm going to name the environment my project and enter. Now going back to my Python venv directory, I should see a new folder got created. Now double click to go into the folder. And on my terminal, I'm going to set it into the directory as well. It's going to be my project. Now, before you can use the environment, you need to activate the environment first, and which is a very important step. And to activate the environment, inside the environment folder, you should see 3 folders and 1 file. And it's a pyvenv.config file. Here, let me open the file so you can check it out. So let me open the file with my notepad. So basically, what this pyvenv.config file does is the Python virtual environment is going to create 3 variables that are pointing to the default Python interpreter that is going to use to run the Python code. And these 2 properties are not very important, so I'm going to skip those. And just in case, if you upgrade your Python version, then you can update the file path pointing to the updated Python interpreter. Now, to activate the environment, inside the scripts folder, want to run this activate file. If I'm using PowerShell, then you will need to run this activate.bat file. Now, going back to my terminal, I'm going to type source because I'm using Bash. If I'm using PowerShell or command line tool, you can simply run the file directly. So here I'm going to type the file path to the activate file and press enter. Now you know your environment is active by looking at the environment on top of the prompt. Now at this point, everything you do is only going to impact this environment only. Now let's learn how to use Python virtual environment in VS Code. So here let me go back to the root folder, and I'm going to launch my VS Code. Alright, so put this to Windows side by side. Now the first thing I want to do here is I want to create a new Python file. So I'm going to use the shortcut Ctrl-N to create a new file. So in my VS Code, my default environment is set to this G-Cloud environment. And to activate a Python virtual environment in VS Code, first I want to launch the command parallel by using the shortcut Ctrl-Shift-P. Then you want to search for Python select interpreter. And that lists out all the recently used Python environment projects. Now, just in case, assuming that your project is not listed on this list right here. So what you want to do is you want to click on this enter interpreter path. And we're going to manually select the Python virtual environment interpreter. All right, so here the default directory is already set to my project folder. So I'm going to go into, here, let me make the icon a little bigger. So I'm going to go into the scripts folder. Then you want to select this python.exe file. And this is the Python interpreter that is being used by the environment. Now select the interpreter. Now if you look at the status bar in VS Code, and you should see the active environment is updated. Now if you want to deactivate the environment, you can simply type deactivate. And finally, if you're done with the environment, you can simply archive the folder to your hard drive, or you can simply delete the folder if you don't need the environment anymore. So one thing I forgot to cover was, so let me go to the VS Code settings window first. All right, so we can click on this gear icon, then click on settings. Now in the search bar, you want to search for Python venv. And that's going to list all the configurations that's related to Python virtual environment. And as I mentioned before, we can have as many Python virtual environment as we want. But one thing I forgot to mention was that all the environments are in the same home directory. Under this Python venv folders property, we can set the home directory where all your Python environments are hosted. So ideally, these two folders should be the same. And if you have multiple Python virtual environments, you want to use one of the environment as the default environment, every time we launch VS Code in a random directory, it doesn't necessarily need to be a virtual environment folder. It can be any folder. And VS Code is going to use this interpreter as the default environment. So this is going to be everything I'm going to share in this video. And hopefully you guys find this video useful. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this video a like and click on the subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.